Talk about today is buying a used car. Now, I know some people like to buy brand new cars. Personally, I don't want to spend the money. Now, I don't want to spend the money. This video, by the way, is going to be about things to check, just based on what I normally check. Sorry, my nose is itching. But first of all, why don't I buy a brand new car? Well, personally, let's just think about it for a minute. Say, I know this is an unrealistic price, but say the car was £10,000 brand new, cheapest car ever. Right, if you buy it for cash, so you got £10,000 in savings, you put £10,000, you give £10,000 to the car dealer, and he gives you the car. Now, as soon as you drive it away, it's probably not worth that. It's worth less. Maybe it's lost £1,000, for instance. Over next year, it's going to lose more money. And yes, you've got a car, but you're losing more and more money. So in 5 years' time, so the car's 5 years old, it might worth thousands less. Well, it will be, unless it's some rare car that's going to appreciate in price. I mean, yeah, if you compare that to, say, buying a house or stock market investments or something you put your money into and it's got a chance, well, it's more likely to appreciate or not halve in value. To me, that seems a better deal. Worse than that is if you buy it on finance, because if you're buying, I know this £10,000 for new cars is unrealistic, but all right, let's pretend it's second hand then. So you buy a £10,000 car. But you haven't got 10,000, so you get finance. So let's say it's 5% interest rate. So it says 5% APR. Now APR means annual percentage rate. That means it's at 5%. Let's make it simple. Let's say 10% APR, because some interest rates on these car loans are quite expensive depending on your credit history. So 10% APR on a second-hand car costing 10,000. So remember I said APR is annual percentage rate. So you're going to pay 10% extra after the year. If you didn't pay it for the year, if you had some deal where you could not pay it for a year, I know you normally would pay it off or start to pay it, the debt would increase by 10%. So then you'd owe 10% of, so you owe 11,000, not 10,000. Obviously you are paying it off, but you're gaining interest. If you took that out over 5 years, 5 times 10, 50. 5 times 10% rather, so 10%, that's, yeah, times the 5, 50%. So you'd be paying twice the price of the original sticker price of the car. And as I said earlier, the price is going down that the car's worth. So, if you really want to buy a new car, do it. But personally, I don't. I've never had a car loan. I always buy them for cash. I think ahead and I'll be saving up for the next one, for when I need it. Though I tend not to change them that often. So, what would you look at when you're looking at a car? Well, I bought one last November. I'd had the previous one 6 years and I needed another one. So, sort of things. Right, let's start with the outside, the bodywork. Okay, and again, this is my opinion. I'm not a professional car surveyor, if that's a thing. But look down the side of it. Look, does it look straight? Look at the panel gaps, the gaps between the doors and the frame of the car. Are they matching up? When you open and close the doors, do they shut well? It's just looking at it to see if it's straight or if it looks like something's slightly off. Look at the boot, the gaps between either side of the boot lid or trunk lid if you're American. Are they matching up or are they a bit wonky? Things like that. Screen's gone off. So looking at the straightness of the bodywork, then what I tend to do, I'd have a look at the engine. Well, actually, before I get to the engine, I'd have a look underneath. A look at what the like condition of the underneath is. What the springs are like. Are they really corroded? Is the bodywork corrosion underneath? Now, I don't know about other countries. If you're in the UK, what you can do is go onto the government MOT test website. So the MOT being its annual test, you can put the registration of the car you're thinking of buying into it, and it will give you the history, the MOT test history. So you can look back and see what it failed on in previous years, if it failed on something. And as cars get older, they tend to. So you can see, did it fail? Oh, broken spring. Well, the roads are pretty bad in Lincoln, in the UK, wherever you are. Yeah, so that's one of those things that might happen. But if you, that's just sort of wear and tear. But if you're seeing things like body corrosion being mentioned on previous MOTs as an advisory, or even a failure, if it's an old car, you'd think, well, if it's a failure, it's been welded. Or if it's an advisory, it's probably going to need some attention soon. And why is it rusty? Now, it could be rusty because it's a coastal car. I've found this firsthand in the past. I bought a car that spent most of its life on Whitley Bay up in the northeast, and it was rusty all over. I got it because it was cheap. I needed some transport. But it wasn't the greatest condition for a 10-year-old car. It was bad, and rust tends to eat from the inside, like the sills. It will eat from the inside out, and you'll get rust. So looking for corrosion on previous MOT certificates is important. If it mentions anything about corrosion, I steer clear of it. Leave it for someone else's problem. But if it's just something like failed on the brake pads or tyres or something, even a spring, it's just things that have just happened to the car due to the sort of wear and tear, or in the case of the spring, bad roads. Yeah, so that's what I would do if possible. Get the registration number before you go and look at it. Put it into the government website. If you look up MOT history, you'll find the website, and you can see what it failed on in previous years. So yeah, so I've checked the body to make sure it's straight. I've looked underneath for corrosion. I've also checked the MOT history. Now, generally, the next stage, I'll probably check the engine bay. So I'll lift up the bonnet, or hood if you're American, and check the fluids, starting with the oil. Now, I know some modern cars don't have dipsticks, which isn't useful, but all the ones I've ever owned do, because they tend to be older cars. So, what's the oil like? You take the oil out. Is it dark black, like tar? That's not a good sign, because the oil hasn't obviously been changed. And if they're not changing the oil, which is a basic service item, it gives you an idea that they probably aren't been servicing the car, especially if you've got no service history. This is important to check these things. So checking the oil, is it all dirty? Also, take the oil filler cap off, look inside there. Now, hopefully it'll be clean. If it looks all tarry in there, or worse, if you've got like froth in there, steer clear of it, because you're getting water into the oil, and that's your head gasket problem, which could be expensive and could have already caused engine damage. So if you take the oil filler off and there's like a bit of froth in there, or if you see it in the oil and it's not oily colour, it's got froth and stuff in it, head gasket's gone, avoid it. What else do we check? Yeah, I'll have a look at the water next. The coolant. So is the coolant a good colour? Generally they tend to have additives in there, green or pink. But are they looking at, or are they looking at a murky kind of misty colour? And yeah, that another sign that the car hasn't really been serviced very well. Hasn't had the coolant changed. What else can we check? Once got the engine, the bonnet up, I'd look round, just a general condition as well, and look to see if it looks original or if it looks like some backstreet mechanic's been at it. In other words, the owners thought, we'll get this cheapest job done, and you've got bits of trim missing, like little bits, like evidence that someone's been messing about with it. And it's not like a car that's been cared for. So we've checked the oil, we've checked the water. I'd also have a look at the brake fluid. I think I'm going to make a video after this where I actually go through this and show you where all the parts are on the car to check, which I probably should edit this into. I might edit this video into that later on, but this is like the Mark 1 off the top of the head speaking video. So again, brake fluid, is it clear, is it clean, or is it murky and looks like it hasn't been changed for a long time? Right, we can also check, most cars, or a lot of cars, have alloy wheels, and you can see through the gaps. What do the brakes look like? The brake discs, Americans call them rotors, but the big silvery discs. Do they look clean? Do they look scored, like they've got marks in them? And the pads, the brake pads, which press against the disc to slow the car down, can you see much lining on it, or does it look like the lining being the friction material that presses against the brake discs, or does it look like that's worn away and the brake disc, the metal part of the brake pad, is almost pressing against the brake disc? So that's, if it looks like nice, clean and shiny, no marks, and that's good. If you've got scratches and it looks like the brake pads, the metal part of it, the back plate, is very close to the disc, your pads are worn. What else would I check? Let's think. So we've checked that. I'd have a look on the general things, check the brakes. Well, let's go and sit inside it. Now, turn the ignition on to the first setting so the warning lights come on. Do they all go out? Well, first of all, do they all come on? Has someone disconnected any of the warning lights? So the warning lights, like the engine management light, does it come on and go off? It shouldn't be on, but then again, just check the actual bulb works. It hasn't been disabled. And when you start it up, you can. One thing I do, when the engine's running, we'll listen to it carefully for any unusual knocks, rattles, etc. I also got a little gadget you got cheaply off Amazon, which you can plug into the cigarette lighter, and it will tell you the voltage. This actually, if you plug it in before you start it up, the voltage should rise, because it should rise a bit, up to sort of 14 volts, 13 and a half, something like that, if the battery is being charged, if it's charging properly. Now, you would expect a charging light, the warning light, to come on if it wasn't charging, but I know someone whose alternator went last year and they didn't have any warning lights come on beforehand. It just, eventually the car stopped working, and it was quite a new car. So you can plug that in, it's like a voltmeter, to check the voltage. Another thing you can do on many cars is, once you've turned the engine on, turn all the lights on, turn the heat on, everything, and listen to the engine and look at the rev count. Does the engine speed slightly drop? If it's dropping, it's because you've got the alternators under load and it's causing resistance, mechanical resistance, because it's getting harder to turn basically as it's working harder, and that slows the engine down. Not always, but that can be a way you can find out whether the alternator's working good. I say not always because I forgot to bring my voltmeter along, my plug-in voltmeter, when I bought the last car. So I did the thing, switched it on, turned the headlights on, turned the electrics on, was listening, and I thought, it's not slowing down. It was a diesel, it possibly works better on small petrols, but my previous car, which was diesel, I could hear a slight difference when I turn all the electrics on of the engine speed going down. But this car I bought, it wasn't doing it, which may be a bit suspicious, but after a test drive I came to the conclusion that it was alright, the alternator was alright, the warning light was going out, and 6 months later it's all good. Touch wood. So we've checked the brake disc, we've checked the fluids, we've checked the underneath, and we looked at the MOT history beforehand using the registration number plate details in the government MOT history check website. What else? We turned up the ignition on so the lights come on, and they should go out, so we know that the warning lights are all working and they've gone out. We've started it, we've listened to it. Right, I mean ideally there'll be some service history, but there may not be. It might have got lost, you don't know where it's gone. Things like cam belts are important, because if they snap they can ruin your engine. Depending on the type of engine, most engines are, if it breaks, the pistons get smashed into the valves and it breaks your engine. I'm trying to think of the term. There's certain engines won't, they'll just stop working, you can replace the cam belt and off you go again, but most, yeah, it's not good, you break your engine. Not all cars have cam belts, some have chains, and they're generally supposed to be reliable, but I have heard some issues with certain manufacturers with chains. So are you getting a rattly noise? Again, I'm not a car mechanic as such. I just been fixing cars since I was 17. I bought my first one because basically I didn't have any money, so I had to learn fast how to fix brakes, fix head gaskets. A couple of years later I rebuilt an engine. I got the machining done at a local engineering works, but I rebuilt one and improved it. So yeah, there are a few other things you can check. I mean, what else can we check? Let's think. Again, I haven't scripted this, I'm just running through in my head what I'll be checking for. So check the warning lights, check the brakes, check the fluids, they were looking good. Get the engine started, have a look at the exhaust at the back. Is it smoking? Ideally get someone to rev it, and then look at the smoke. Is it sort of clear? Is it coming out blue? If it's coming out blue, that's not good because you're burning oil. Is it coming out with a white steam? Not good. Head gasket. These are some of the things you need to consider. Like I say, if you haven't got service history, I mean the cam belt's important, and there wasn't any information on the cam belt when I bought my last car. So what I did, and it was a Part X, and the mechanic was okay with it because he doesn't normally do Part X, as he'd had it in, he was just selling it on. So I mean, I'm sure I made a few quid on it, but he was basically selling the thing on because it was older than they dealt in. He gave me a spanner. In fact, he helped me. We took the cam cover off, the plastic cover. I mean, this is probably a bit more than the average person's going to do, but he let me. And we looked at the belt. We spun it round, looked at the belt, and we could see it was a relatively new belt because the guy that part exchanged it had said that the belt had been replaced, but I hadn't got the paperwork. But it was an aftermarket new belt. It wasn't the original manufacturer's branded belt. It was a quality sort of aftermarket one, so we could see it was had been done relatively recently, which is why I haven't immediately replaced it on the car I bought now. But yeah, things like that, cam belts are important if you've got a cam belt. So that's just some of the things I would check. I mean, it might look nice and shiny, but what's it like? I mean, ideally you're going to get a test drive. Is it pulling at all? Especially when you brake, are you feeling any pulling? Are you getting any strange noises? What else would we do? So, I forgot what I was going to say then. Clutch. Is the clutch okay? Stick it in a high gear and put your foot to the floor. The engine speed shouldn't speed up. It should you know what it's like driving. You put it into a high gear, and if you're in too high a gear, it won't really accelerate. Well, that's what you want. If you're suddenly the engine speed spinning up, but you're not really actually gaining speed, you've got a bit of a clutch problem, and they're not cheap. Obviously that refers to manual cars, not automatic. Right, I'm just wondering if I've clicked this on. What have we got on here? Yeah, I've just recorded this video, and I think I've just been recording my home screen. I'll have to edit this. Right, okay, this is Craig. This is useful. I'll try and put some actual practical examples on a later video, but that's the sort of thing I would check when buying a used car. I mean, touch wood, I've been driving quite a long time, 30 plus years, is that right? Yeah, 30 plus years. Apart from the drive shaft shattering once and running out of petrol once because the gauge didn't work, I think that's been it. Touch wood. Actually, I'm lying, I had an alternator go once, but I got it home and then I actually fixed it. The brushes have gone on the alternator, quite easy to fix, to replace. You can buy a replacement brush pack. Most people wouldn't bother with doing that. The alternator was going to be a pain to get out, so I did it that way. But yes, it's Craig. Yeah, see you soon. Let's turn this off.